Where have I been? I've been working full time. I've been on tour, and I've been busy. But I've been buying books. And what better way to get back to it than, like, what do the people want? They want to see book hauls. That's what we're doing. This is everything I've bought over the last couple months. Let's get to it. I've started, and I've been reading this too, Alphabetical Diaries by Sheila Heti. She wrote a diary over the last little bit and alphabetized every sentence, and then she restructured this novel as like snippets of that diary in alphabetical order. So there's 26 chapters, and yeah, starting at A, and it just keeps going. Pretty interesting. Great concept of a book. Surprising it hasn't been done before. I am halfway through it. I will have a review forthwith. These kind of two I bought together, and they're kind of thematically similar. Novels by concrete visual poets. I have Brian Didora's The Apple in the Orchard. This one's pretty new. Looks cool. And then Steve McCaffrey's Panopticon. This is from like when Book Thug was doing these Department of Reissue series, and that was like a very interesting time for Book Thug when they were still not afraid to be thugs. This is Love Junkie by Robert Plunkett. NYRB has recently been reissuing his stuff. Last year did My Search for Warren Harding, which I like pretty well. That's the one I did pump through. So I did want to get to this one. This one's supposed to be funnier and gayer, so I want to get to it. This one is very cool. I found out about this one, I think, on 50 Watts Books. And so basically, it's almost like a first-person choose-your-own-adventure. So it's kind of a graphic. It's kind of like putting a video game, like a graphic video, like a first-person graphic video game into book form, to graphic novel form. It's pretty sparse and so far, but like what an incredible like undertaking to put out. So this guy George Wylesall, I think, has done a couple of these, which I'm very interested in finding out more. But if you're interested in graphics and like strange modes of storytelling using the book form in a different way, I'm infinitely interested in that. So this one, 2120 by Wylesall, looked cool. I've only started it, but it looks great. This was a gift from my homie Tyler. George Floyd's like a zine about his like art, basically. It's just like, I think he put it out with to coincide with an art show. Frontman for the Dicks, kind of just gay punk stuff. That any ephemera from that I want. A couple cool thrifts. George Bowering's My Short Sad book. This one was published in the late 70s, I think. Like a novel, but kind of approached as a sort of prose poem type piece. Especially this area of kind of like Tish-related people, infinitely fun. This is like the new reprint from New Star. I'm kind of very bummed about this cover. The old edition had a Greg Curnow drawing on it, and yeah, to get rid of a Greg Curnow when you have the option and you do something, yeah, I mean it's modern. I read this already so far, very of its time, but it does a thing. It does a thing very well. So it's cool to see George Bowering getting reprints, hopefully getting rediscovered. I like this one. I thrifted a Tanith Lee here. Been intending to get to her for quite a while, but so finding one in the wild. This one, just another collection of short stories apparently supposed to be like a little more Arabian Nightsy, if my reading was correct. Tanithly. I picked this up at a bookstore in Toronto. Was supposed to be innovative and like basically here's the gimmick. It's got floor plans of houses, and then the mystery is that they they study these floor plans, and a mystery is supposed to emerge. I got yeah, sounds very cool. It sucks so bad. If you see people praising this on Book Talks, they are liars. This book was a turd. The concept sucked me in just like everybody else. The jumps in logic, the like horrible prose, the like pass. Okay, I've been buying this stack of kind of like 80s YA, and I'm kind of obsessed. It's like this era of things that I'm wanting to rediscover. So I've been going through Alan Garner, British writer who basically kind of does the like Narnia thing, but like so literate and smart. So I've read two so far. Read Elidor and Owl Service. Both are kind of dealing with like British Isles folklore, but it's like so evocative and like of itself. So these Alan Garner ones, like they're YA obviously, but they're so literate that they almost have no audience. Alan Garner, these are rife for rediscovery, and I think they've kind of stayed in like the pockets of fans, but I don't know if they have like wide-reaching scope. So if you want like something that really evokes that like Narnia aspect, I was loving these. And then if you're a Western Canadian of the like late 80s, early 90s, you might know this stuff. But if you've ever encountered Monica Hughes, I'm looking for these again. She basically did like Maze Runner, Hunger Games, like in the 80s and 90s, and they're fun and brilliant, and they rip. I think she's from Edmonton, and I don't know. I think she's just like fallen out of popular favor. Maybe some of her stuff is still in print, but she had a hot moment back then in my era, but just looking back, very good. So I haven't read either of these even as a kid, so these are all thriftable. But man, if you know anything about Monica Hughes, have anything to say about her, I'm pretty interested. And then similarly, I found a bunch of these Eric Wilsons on my friend's bookshelf, and these are coming out in new editions, but I'm kind of looking more for this edition of covers. But basically they're kind of like kids adventure books, but they're all set in Canadian places. So this one's the Kootenays, but there's like ones in like West Ed and like Gold Rush ones and whatever. I don't know, I'm clamoring for some I want some CanCon settings. So finding like these guys being close to home, I'm very interested. If you know any Eric Wilson stuff, let me know. Bought this in Montreal. This is a curiosity. This is Samuel Delaney's, like you'll probably know him from like Dahlgren and his sci-fi work, but he was also a known erotica writer. So this is some of his like gay erotica reprinted. It's pretty graphic and pretty awesome. I'm happy to have found this. Okay, this might be of so little interest to some people, but I've been looking for this book and I found it at a yard sale of all places. Basically, because it's got like Nick Montfort, who I kind of follow in his like video game criticism. I'm pretty interested in that, like treating video games as art form and like treating them as literature. So this is kind of like probably a somewhat dated textbook in some ways, but it has. So this is put up by MIT Press. If you ever see like the MIT Press like on the imprint when you're out in the wild, chances are they will have pumped out something at the very least interesting. So yeah, this was, I don't know, 2003. But even in like as a time capsule of that era of kind of like computer new media video game criticism, I think it's very interesting. In some ways considers literature and applying it to computers. So it talks about innovative literature methods and is trying to contextualize them into a digital realm. I've been wanting to read this for a while. It's like finding an over 20-year-old textbook to read for fun is funny, but I found it. Picked up some beautiful graphics as well. This is Sunny Book 2. I have Book 1 by Matsumoto. The guy, you'll probably know him best for Tekken Kincrete, but I love his art style. These ones I remember finding in Japan when I was there, and so it's nice to find English editions. Linnea Sterte, I don't know anything about her, but I found this at Drawn and Quarterly. Just beautiful art style. Almost reminds me of, like those, like the covers of those Elric books, whatever that artist is, almost combined with like Little Nemo. This is lovely. Paid too much for it, but that's okay. Have been hunting for these other John Pham books. Someone that I think is I haven't seen produce anything in a little while. Did the Chris Ware thing, but a little more personable. That's a way to put it. He did these books called Sublife, which I really enjoyed. And so kind of finding an earlier thing that he did, interesting. So this is book Epoxy 3 by John Pham. I picked up this catalog edited by Steve Clay about small press and little magazines. So I guess this was from an art show maybe. So it kind of definitely had the art catalog cost to it. So very expensive book, but a very nice addition to have, just to find all these beautiful small press publications. And even just finding these pretty inspiring. It's a lot of the stuff, if you are into small press and concrete poetry, you may be aware of some of it, but just even seeing some of these early editions from names and even just seeing like the ephemera in like the actual copies of it, very, very interesting to see. So kind of gives you a little more context, a lot better than a lot of the concrete poetry publications that, like overviews that have come out recently. Even though I wish that I could flip through a lot of this work. Beautiful book. Okay, funny curiosity found at a thrift. This is called Poetry of Relevance, edited by Homer Hogan, but just such a product of the 60s. This is basically trying to teach poetry through people's love of popular music from the late 60s. Chapter on Pete Seeger, chapter on Tim Buckley, or section with Joni Mitchell. So it's taking their lyrics, treating them as poetry, and kind of going back to classical poetry that like would have influenced that work, or touchstones, or like thematic similarities. Interesting. Dated. Bruce Cockburn. Curious one, worth $2, at least for the curiosity of it. I think I mentioned 50 watts earlier. This is Pictograms by Warha Lavater. Do not know how to pronounce that. 50 watts has been republishing some like very cool graphic art books, beautiful things, especially kind of in the Japanese art book realm. Almost verges on a semic writing in some ways. Basically pictograms that are a piece of, yeah, almost a semic writing, but in a graphic form. Very interesting book. I haven't delved too deeply into this one, just piqued the interest and it looked lovely. Back to more concrete poetry. This is the Anthology of Concretism from the Chicago Review. This was published in 1967. This is still available as dead stock from the Chicago Review. They have all their back catalogs still available. My friend Derek tipped me off to this. I ordered it immediately. It is beautiful. Kind of some of the stuff you've seen in reprint if you buy any of those concrete collections, but just like even just some John Furnival you might not have seen. And it wasn't expensive. It was great, but finding like an actual, you can still order this stuff. It's crazy to see what you can find. Chicago Review, you can still get it. Sticking in the concrete realm, this is Signals by Richard Carter. I need to read the concept exactly, but I think it's basically trying to take a mode of communication with like an alien alphabet and attempting to do poetry with it. This is a lovely book. This is put up by Guillemot Editions. It is lovely, even just the like coppery orange embossed cover. Beautiful concrete art book. Excited to delve into this more as well. Couple weird thrifts. Don't know anything about Ned Bowman's Boxer Beetle. Just the blurbs made it sound good. If you know anything about this one, let me know. Snowball's Chance by John Reed. This is from the Melville House. This is from the Neversink library, which I think they usually do reprints, but I think this one is semi-recent, like kind of written as a sort of post 9/11 critique. But this is written as a sequel to Animal Farm, Orwell's Animal Farm. Interesting to find. Weird edition of Luigi Pirandello. I haven't actually read the Pirandello I have, but when you find it, you snag it. A contemporary of Calvino, as my understanding goes, and this is something of the lesser known titles. The one you may have encountered is 6 Characters in Search of an Author, I believe is the title of it. And yeah, I intend to read those, intend to read this. Cool. I got a couple titles from Biblioasis. This is Ray Smith's Cape Breton is the Thought Control Center of Canada. With that title alone, I am sold. Kind of supposed to be late 60s semi-experimental short stories of Canadiana. I found out about Ray Smith in that Avant-Gardes Canada collection from back when, and I kind of just filed this away, and then so found a copy of it here. And Jason Guriel's Forgotten Work. The gimmick of this one is it's a novel but written in rhyming couplets, which sounds bad, but then the actual premise sounds very good. So we'll see if he pulls it off. Just the comparisons alone, Bolaño, Palefire, Pynchon, William Gibson, like it sounds cool. Contemporary Canadiana that I am very curious about. Well, there you go. That's my book haul over the last few months. I've read only a few of these, but you can't stop buying them. Thank you for watching. Let me know about your book hauls. Have fun.